Alrighty, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. It's good to see you guys here again for another update. Hope y'all are enjoying y'all's weekend. Good to see you guys here back. So we got some activity popping off here in the tropics. By the way, you guys are going to notice the camera angle is a little bit further down. I decided, being the smart man I am, I have a couch or kind of a recliner in here. I decided I'm just going to move my recliner up just to be a little bit more comfy. Because the chair I got, I ain't gonna lie, it's not very comfy. But anyways, besides the point, good evening, guys. Good to see y'all. Hopefully you're all doing well. We got Joe here. Good to see you, man. What's up, Kazo? So where's his head? We'll get into it. I can't even English this evening. We'll get into it here in a minute, my friend. Chris saying, hey, Andrew, I know the Atlantic Basin has been calm for a while now. I'll never forget what happened to Superstar Sandy back in October of 2012. Yeah, Sandy was a pretty big storm, absolutely. What's up, Chris? What's up, Joe? Tabletop. Don't be worried, dude. It's too far out for any U.S. concerns right now. But let's see here. It sure is getting active in the tropics. Yeah, it is. So Hurricane Center, actually, we were live earlier. We talked about what was going on here. The Hurricane Center has this system, or had the system at an overall 50% chance probability of development. So throughout the next 7 days, we had an overall 50% shot at development here in the system. But now they've actually upgraded the risk here now to an overall 60% chance. So we are continuing to see the probability increasing regarding the chance of formation here on the system here. So that's actually picking up in activity here. But still, throughout the next 2 days, the next 48 hours, we are just really not expecting really any development to occur within the next 2 days. So, we're not going to really get much out of it. But anyways, looking over here at satellite view, if we take a look at the sat here, actually the current position of the storm is just south of the Cabo Verde. So let's go ahead and rewind here a little bit, where we might actually have to use a different program here. Yeah, let's go ahead and hop our way back over here. And we shall bring up the main development region here. So let's go ahead and do that so we can kind of see where it's at now. So yeah, it's just south of the Cabo Verde. You can kind of see it right here. Really not much to it right now. What's up, Sonia? Good to see ya. Hopefully you're doing well. Curious to know what will happen to the Bermuda High once the system materializes. Yeah, I mean, models we'll get into in a minute. Some models show, completely different than what some of the other models suggest here. But yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute. But yeah, so here's the Cabo Verde. You can see a lot of this activity is just to the south. Right now it's just a bunch of disorganized showers and storms. There really is no organization with the system at all. Honestly, when I'm looking at it now, the more I look at it, you can kind of see there is a little bit of counterclockwise movement, it looks like. The reason, I'm actually going to point this out to you guys here. Let me bring up my pen here so I can kind of draw on the screen. So if you look closely, I need to restart the pen, of course. Oh, man, I love this program. It always loves to mess on me whenever we need it. All right, so here we go. Go and bring up that pen again here. But yeah, I mean, it has a little bit of counterclockwise circulation to it. So here we go. Now it should work. So if we take a look here, you can actually see, up top, there's different layers here. If you look down below, so all this color, you look under it, you can kind of see some of those lower level winds kind of moving relatively to the west, maybe slightly southwest. But if you look down here, you can kind of see some of that kind of getting pulled up. So there is a central low trying to develop here. I mean, right now, once again, it's still very disorganized. I mean, it's got a lot of work to do. Right now, it's just literally a bunch of storms. But, system's going to continue moving kind of northwest here over the next few days. So, once again, within the next 2 days, we're not really expecting any formation out of the system. But whenever we get into that, days 1 to 7, so basically, a week out from now, we have an overall 60% chance. So in, this region here that you guys see, so this is where the storm is now, over here, just southwest of the Cabo Verde. So here's Florida, for example. Here's Cuba. There's, Dominican Republic and Haiti right here. Here's Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, etc. So, this orange bubble here, this is where the storm could materialize into a tropical depression or even a possible tropical storm. We'll have to see what happens. But, the probability, once again, has been increasing ever so slightly. It seems like every update we've been getting, it seems like we've been increasing in probability here overall of formation. So, but yeah, so right now, once again, Hurricane Center, we have an overall 60% chance of formation here in the next week. So we'll definitely keep an eye out there for that. Now, some models actually suggest maybe more than one system, but we're just going to have to go off the Hurricane Center for right now. But there is absolutely a little bit of support from some of these models suggesting not one, but maybe multiple waves, or multiple tropical waves kind of rolling through. What's up, Bill? Good to see ya. A little bit late. Decided to get in the shower 5 minutes before the stream. Back here, good man. Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. Let's see. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the system. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen with it. So let me bring you guys over here to the models again. We're gonna take a peek at the models here. I might need to. Let's do this. Here we go. That should be a pretty good view. All right, let's go ahead and bring up some of these ensembles here. Here's the ECENS. So we're going to go up to 180 hours out. I don't want to go any further than that because, you guys know me. I don't like to look too far down in time. Like a lot of these other people like to hype and look further than they should. So, here's the Cape Verde. So we were just looking at this. I probably should move this over a little bit so you guys can see it just a little bit better. There we go. Let's redo that again. So here's the Cape Verde right here. So the majority of the ECENS, has the system kind of moving westward, maybe slightly northwestward over the next couple of days. Maybe even pulling a little bit more to the north. I tell you what, though, the ECENS in latest runs has actually shifted a bit further to the west, also a bit further south as well. Which is very interesting here. You can kind of see majority of the ensembles has the system kind of, remaining within this cone here roughly. So we're going to keep that cone there for reference. We're going to redraw it though. But we're going to keep this little cone here for reference, to kind of go off of some of these other ensembles as well. So that's the ECENS. It's obviously good to look at more than one model. So that's why we're going to look here now at the GEFS. Now the GEFS, you can kind of see has the system maybe a little bit further south here. We'll go back to the ECENS here. So there is a little bit of differential there. ECENS obviously has the system a little bit further north for most of those members. The GEFS has it a little bit further south. We have the the GDM FNV3. This is another set of models. Once again, also having it a little bit further down. A little bit further south here overall. So we'll have to see. This model actually kind of suggests, maybe some of those members getting pretty close to the Virgin Islands there, just kind of north for the most part. But, the middle ground has it just to the north here. And then, of course, we have the GDM GENC model, which, doesn't really show a whole lot different. So, it actually seems like in this case the ECENS is kind of a little bit further than most of these models here. So it seems like it has been trending a little bit further to the south here. Now, just because I can, not because it would be, really a good idea, but we'll look at 240 hours out. But this is, I want to go ahead and say a disclaimer, this is beyond when we should be looking. So here is the, once again, the G and, let's go next. So this is the GDM GENC model. Maybe steering out to sea, but too early to tell. If you see anything like this online, just know it's too early. Really, realistically speaking, anything beyond this point is very unknown. Okay, and we'll keep you guys updated. We'll let you guys know if any new information comes through, which it will. Just give us some time. But yeah, we'll definitely be keeping you guys in the loop here. We'll make sure that you guys are watching this pretty closely. But anyway, so that's that. And hopping back over here to the FNV3, in the extended range, some of the members, it's kind of a 50-50 type of thing here. And you do see some of the members coming pretty close, just north of like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Haiti, towards the Bahamas. But then you got a couple of models that just, a couple of those members that has it kind of steering maybe out to sea. But remember, we can't look this far. It's just way too early to look. Once again, within reasonable time frame, I like to look no more than 180 hours out, because within 180 hours there is, or anything beyond that, everything starts to get a little bit less accurate. It's kind of like a domino effect. You have one bad calculation, and that leads to two other bad calculations, or however many more. So with that being said, I mean, it's just, if you have a bad calculation, which happens, models, they're not perfect, of course, and the further you look out, the more bad calculations there is, essentially. What's up, Scott? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing well. Bill says the trend this year has definitely been out to sea. I mean, but we really haven't had many storms, though, I mean, we had the biggest storm of the year, which was Aaron, that did go out to sea, but that's like really the only big storm we've had. I mean, the other storms that we had were kind of minimal. I mean, this is a very slow season, a very slow season. To be honest, this has got to be one of the quietest seasons I've ever seen. But like we mentioned, things are really starting to pick up now. So just don't be surprised within the later portion of this month, things really pick up. And I think it's going to be this way through October, too. I think October will... I really think the second half of hurricane season will be very much more active than the beginning part. Nature works in very interesting ways. But I really do believe that we will. It does seem like we're going to start to see a little bit more vertical wind shear coming up here. For later this month, should help maybe get some convection going and really thriving. So, we'll definitely really have to see what happens. But Bill, like I mentioned, the only big storm that we've had this year but it's just with this system, it's a little bit too far out. Chris says, if the season is quiet, quote unquote, even during the peak, what does this mean? We'll get into winter, including the mid-Atlantic areas. Well, so I was actually getting my winter forecast together for you guys. I'm hoping to have that out here soon, but it means different things for different areas. Mid-Atlantic this year, I still really need to do some more diving. Not only Pacific Oscillation, but North Atlantic Oscillation, all kinds of stuff. I do need to do some more deep research into that, as I'm making my video here. Or, not this video, but, not this stream, but my winter forecast video I'm working on. Just wait for that. And, hopefully I'll have it out this week. I'm hoping. What's up, Sharon? Good to see you. Hopefully you are doing well. But anyways, so that's really what I wanted to kind of point out here. Let's actually take a peek at some of these individual models here. I guess we'll start off with the good old GFS here. Bill says we're going into La Nina, right? Yeah. So we'll more than likely we're going to be in weak La Nina this year. Not a strong one. Strong La Ninas can be very violent for some areas. Violent winters, but. Yeah, this year, I mean, it's more towards a light La Nina, maybe a low neutral. But let's see. Emmanuel says the hurricane season is dead. So far. But just wait. I really still firmly believe, like I said, at the end of this month, going into next month, I really think we're going to be quite active. And, we're already seeing signs of that here. So here's the GFS model. So there's the system right in here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but there it is right there, the wave that kind of rolls through. And you can actually kind of see another area of low that kind of works its way off here as well. Now, at this point in time, we're 180 hours out. Once again, I don't like to look too much further than this because everything goes into La La Land. But the latest GFS does have development here, which has been quite a big change since the 12 UTC run from earlier. So here's the 12 UTC showing nothing more than just, a low, But the new run takes it in the tropical cyclone. So that has actually been, once again, like I was saying earlier, you're probably going to see some flip-flopping going around. You might see one run suggest something, and then the next one kind of against it. So, there definitely is a little bit of differences there. But yeah, so once again, don't want to go any further than this though. But yeah, GFS does pick up on the system here. Really, really developing overall, and maybe even some more waves to follow. So we'll have to look out there for that. Let's see here, the GFS is batting horribly. It's dead. What the GFS? The GFS has been all over the place, man. Once again, you can see the last run, nothing more than just a disorganized low, and then now this run shows a system here. It's very much still all over the place here. It still is very, very too early to tell for the most part. But anyways, but yeah, also the GFS, like we mentioned, maybe shows a couple other waves rolling through, but we don't want to go any further than this here. Euro, on the other hand, look at the 12 UTC run here. Euro may have some type of development here, going a little bit further south than GFS actually. But at this point we're 180 hours out, but a little bit of slow development possible. Yeah, so we're probably not going to really see the development kick off until maybe like kind of the midweek next week. I think that's when this system is going to have, its best shot at, developing and, really, really kicking off there. So that we absolutely shall see. But anyways, so that's that. Oh, I just realized I clicked on the wrong scene here. Whoops. I accidentally clicked on the one that didn't have my camera. But anyways, so that's that, y'all. Let's actually hop back over here. So one thing I do want to point out here, I am really, really, really happy. This program I always use, Aguacero WX, they have a new update that just came out here, and my goodness, I love it. I'm still kind of learning it, but we now have satellite and stuff like that, which is awesome. Let's see here. We also do have tropical outlooks and stuff like that. Here, let's get rid of our sat real quickly. We'll actually turn this on dark mode. I like dark mode. It's a little bit better. Also, the Eastern Pacific's picking up in a bit of activity here as well. We got three AOIs here. We got one for the Central Pacific, just south of Hawaii. 20% chance of development here. One south of the Baja California Peninsula. 40% in the next 7 days. 10% in the next 48 hours. And then we got this guy, 0% chance in the next 2 days, and 20% chance in the next 7 days here. Then, of course, we got our one in the Atlantic here, 0.60. So, yeah, not really expecting much in the next 48 hours or the next 2 days, but, next 7 days here. I think, once again, later on, kind of midweek next week. Oh, not the GFS, the hurricane season's dead. Oh, okay. I was about to say, what are you talking about? The GFS? Yeah. Well, Emmanuel, like I said, personally, you can take this however you want to, but I really do believe that later this month and October, I think it's going to have a pretty good shot at being a lot more above than at least the beginning part of the season. Absolutely. What's up, SPC? Good to see you, man. But anyways, so let's actually take a look here over at the back over here at the satellite view real quickly. So for the people who's just now joining us, like I said, we were watching the new storm here. So this is it right here. It's just nothing more than a blob. Just kind of a big blob of disorganized showers and storms right now. It's not really anything big right now. It's got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of organization needed for the system to really do anything. But, like we mentioned here a minute ago, if you really look closely, which I'll go ahead and bring up our pen again here. If you look closely, you can actually see we do have a little bit of circulation going on here. If you look in those lower levels, there's a little bit of circulation trying to pick up here. And then, of course, we have this really big burst of convection that's going on here. A bunch of scattered storms and stuff. But, like I said, it just has a lot of a lot of activity or a lot of things it needs to do before it really kicks off. So I think last year climates. Let's see here. People's expectations high. That is a good point, Emmanuel. Yeah, absolutely. Especially seasons like 2020. The last several years, have been pretty decent. In hurricanes, and everybody's expecting another 2020 to happen, or 2023 or 4. Last year was pretty serious too. Yeah, that is true. I do see where you're going with that. Absolutely. But like I said, we just gotta wait a little bit. So the system is let me actually bring this up to you guys. System is expected to run into a little bit of dry air, it looks like. So let me pull up the GFS again for you guys so we can kind of show you all here. Let's take a peek here at the GFS. So looking at the 700 to 300 millibar relative humidity. So basically what this is the moisture levels throughout the atmosphere. So you have the bluish green represents a moisture-filled environment. The atmosphere is rich in moisture. And then you got the brown, which is saying what you think it is. The atmosphere is dry. And you guys can actually see that the key here on the right-hand side. So we have, the bluish green being higher humidity values. Yeah, whatever. So with this system here, let's hop the GFS real quickly. So according to GFS, so there's a system, and it looks like we do have a bit of moisture here, a bit of dry air towards the central Atlantic here. It could start to pull in some of that drier air, which is why the system, at least what we think as of right now, isn't really going to explode in development here, because, it definitely really could start to pull in some some drier air. There's definitely enough moisture, but it's just not organized enough, and it could definitely pull in some drier air. And, the Hurricane Center, they actually mentioned this here, talking about that dry air as it could be an issue, at least to start, for the system to, really kind of pick up into something here. So then we continue working our way further down in time here, and you can see, it kind of engulfs a bit of dry air. But according to the latest model of the GFS, at this point in time, we're 180 hours out. Don't want to go too much further than this, like we mentioned. But eventually the GFS has the system kind of getting a hold of the moisture, which, once the storm gets a hold of it pretty well, it's a lot more organized, and it has a little bit more protection against some of that dry air. But, not completely. So, that's what the GFS here. Now, Euro, the ECMWF, you can really see, it really has the system kind of starved of moisture. This is the 18 UTC run of the Euro. You can see a lot of that brownish color, within the storm here, really showing that dry air. So, with a lot of dry air, you're not going to have much convection, what I mean by thunderstorm activity. So what you see now, which we'll hop back to sat view. So this is it right now. What we see now is a bunch of convection, a bunch of storms and showers firing off. So in a dry environment, you're not going to see much of this, because storms need moisture. They need moisture, to convect, to fire off. And without that, you ain't going to get none. So with all that dry air, with the system working its way into that drier environment, that is going to allow for a lot of that convection to kind of be stopped, or at least extremely slowed down. Which you need that convection to get the storm organized. You need it to get it going. And without that, you're not going to really have much. So that's kind of why we don't really expect the system to really blow up anytime soon. But, who knows? In the future, in the extended range, which is just a little bit too far out to tell right now, we could get some activity, really going with the system here. Obviously you saw GFS, the latest run here, which, could just be a singular run, which is more than likely what it is. But it does show the system picking up in activity. Euro, once again, very hesitant with all that dry air here. Eventually could maybe get itself together here, but we'll just have to see. But anyways, hopping back over here to the to the spaghetti models, or the ensembles, I should say, all these members here. So this is not the official spaghetti models. We're not an invest yet, but these are the several different models, but just with a bunch of members that look like spaghetti models here. But so first of all, we have the ECENS, and so like we looked at a little bit ago, regarding the ECENS here, it seems like a lot of activity is a little bit further north as comparing to some of the other models we're getting ready to look at here. So this is the ECENS here. Then, of course, like I said, we have the GEFS model, a little bit further south here, but still, within that box or that cone I created there. Of course, this is not official cone. I know people would think it would, but it's not. No. But then you got like the other model here, so this one is the GDM FNV3 model, and you can see that's relatively just on the south side, kind of like what the ECENS was suggesting, kind of on the lower side of what the ECENS was suggesting here. So, there's a bit of agreement there. The GENC model here as well, kind of showing some of the same thing here as well. So, there's a bit of agreement here. But mostly the strength here of the models keeps it relatively weak for now. So we'll just have to see. What's up, Sydney? Good to see you, my friend. But anyways. But yeah, so I just want you guys to, keep an eye on the, keep an eye on the weather. We'll definitely keep you guys up to date with everything going on out here. If you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to ask here. We'll definitely be keeping you guys up to date with everything. So tomorrow, we do have a severe weather threat here for portions of the plains, central and northern plains here. So this actually extends all the way from northern Texas, out here by the panhandle of Texas, all the way through up, portions of Kansas, Nebraska, North and South Dakota here as well. And of course, we do have like western Minnesota here included as well. So that, we have a little bit of a severe weather threat here. We actually, look at that, actually, we do have a 2% chance for tornadoes here overall. Which we do have a pretty good size, 2% chance here. What's up, Kim? Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. That day is coming, says, so it won't be a hurricane. So I can't, as of right now, there's not a whole lot of guidance suggesting it being a hurricane, but there is a good shot it still could. It's just too early to tell. It's as simple as that. It's just too early to tell if it's going to be, just a depression, tropical storm, hurricane. All we can tell you right now is that this thing has an overall 60% chance of development here, either being a depression or a tropical storm within the next 7 days. But I can tell you that percentage has been increasing quite a bit. Like earlier today, I should say, we did another live stream with you guys, and they had it at an overall 50% chance. Now we're at a now we're at a 60. So yeah, probability has been increasing quite a bit here. But yeah, once again, next 48 hours, we had a low percent chance. We're just really not expecting anything within the next 2 days. Like I said, if we're gonna get anything really kicking off, it's likely gonna be kind of mid next week here. And once again, this is the system right here. You can see it's just very disorganized. Has a lot of work to do. Right now, it's just nothing more than a clump of showers and storms, basically. So. But yeah, once again, it's just too early to tell, what strength it is going to be. But there is, I will tell you this, there is a lot of support here in the future of the system becoming a, potential tropical cyclone here. So probability is increasing, too, from the Hurricane Center. Let's see here. But anyways, yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. You guys know we're here for you. I want to make sure you guys are staying up to date and, of course, staying weather aware and stuff like that. So, we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop with everything, and make sure you guys are staying up to date with everything. But anyways, so let's go ahead and move our way on here. Let's go ahead and take a peek here at some of the models here again. We'll actually look at the GFS. Once again, I'm really happy with this new update that the Aguacero came out with. Dude, it's actually really, really, really cool. So here's the GFS model. So you can see, let me move it up just a little bit here. So here's the GFS regarding the winds and stuff like that. So obviously, it's just a little bit early to be for sure. We really don't want to go too far down in time. So this is right up at that 180-hour mark. You can see this is actually a second system possibly developing here. You can see the first system. Actually, hold on a minute. Sorry, I got two runs confused. There was a run earlier that was showing a second system. So no, there is potentially going to be another wave as well, as you can kind of see. Just a little bit too early to tell exactly what that's going to do. But yeah, GFS though, does have this system, eventually really kind of picking up some strength as it, kind of gets a hold of all that moisture eventually. It seems like dry air is going to be a bit of a problem for the storm here within the next few days. How many days ahead of warning will we get? So theoretically, if the system was to be a concern for the states, which obviously we don't know that right now. It's way too early. But hypothetically, if it was, on average, we typically have about 3 to 5 days of warning before a system happens. On average, which is good. We have that's the good thing about hurricanes. Tropical cyclones is that the technology has gotten good enough to where we have a great understanding of what can happen a few days in advance. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so let's take a peek here at the Euro. So ECMWF. So there you guys can see once again. This is the development area here. This is where we could see. Here, let's actually change the orientation here. We'll put the area on top here. So, you got Euro here. You can actually see the system kind of developing. Let's go ahead and flop this again here. So you can see that low that develops here. Nothing really super crazy. I mean, this is showing 10-meter winds of almost 40 miles an hour. So that would be kind of like maybe weak tropical storm here, according to Euro. This is here for pretty much here for the 18th and 19th here. So there's the Euro here. Keeping things once again from what it looks like now, hopefully just north of the Virgin Islands and the Antilles here. Hopefully that'll just kind of pull to the north, but like we mentioned here with some of our ensembles that we have, kind of suggests that that should be to the north. But remember, we are still seeing some heavy fluctuations here. I mean, at this point in time, this is 180 hours out, which this is about 8 days away. So this is about a week out. Don't want to push it too much further than that. Of course, you have a lot of people who would look further for crazy stuff, but not me. But, there is a fair amount of agreement, though. Here's the other set of ensembles here. This one's actually a little bit more stronger. This is the GDM FNV3 model. You can see the little table up here in the top right here. So between 40, 50 knots. So that would put us in tropical storm force. We have a lot of green here representing that. So, this model's a little bit more stronger on the strength here. GEFS here. Very mixed. Very, very, very mixed here, as you can kind of tell. We got some of the members here. You can see these lines here showing the blue, 30, 40 knots, and you got some that are kind of orange and stronger overall. Let's see here. That day is coming in with a $5 super chat, my friend. Thank you, man. Saying thank you, Andrew. Thank you, dude. That day is coming. I really appreciate the support, my friend. That is really, really nice of you. Thank you so much for that. That is really, really sweet. Y'all in chat, please give That Day Is Coming a big thank you. That is really, really sweet of you, my friend. You really did not have to do that. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. You rock, my friend. Thank you so, so much. That'll go to help out a lot. So just want to say thank you. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. So let's actually take a peek here back over at the some of these other models here. We have the ECM WF AIFS. A lot of people like the AI models. I don't personally. They are not really the best in my opinion from what I've seen. Relatively new, but honestly, not too much farther off kind of from what the the actual ECM WF had to suggest here. Not too much further off there. Here, I'll make this look a little bit better for you guys. Oops. Kind of want to line it up there. Oh, come on, man. Okay, perfect. That's good enough. So yeah, Euro here just kind of agrees here. The ECMWF AIFS kind of agrees with the original Euro here. Maybe maybe depression, maybe tropical storm. We'll just have to see. But we'll keep you guys updated. Once we get some new information and stuff, which eventually will come, of course. We'll let you guys know. And I want you guys to also know here, too, is that this is not an invest yet. So what happens is when this storm becomes an invest, means it's an investigation, which right now it's just a disturbance, okay? So right now we're just kind of watching it, watching the system, see what it does. But once it becomes an invest, that means we're going to start investigating the system. That unlocks all kinds of new stuff. So once it becomes an invest, we're going to start to see hurricane models run. Much more higher resolution models, and in some cases, Hurricane Hunter missions could start to run as well once we get an invest here. Which, from what I've seen, I think the main headquarters of the United States Air Force Hurricane Hunters, I believe it's out here in Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken, or Alabama. I do know that the NOAA Hurricane Hunters are out of Lakeland, which is where I live, which is pretty cool, I think. But more than likely, they'll fly the planes out. I mean, once again, if this thing becomes an invest, which it likely will in a couple of days or so. But yeah, they'll likely fly the plane to the Virgin Islands or something, and then they'll deploy overall. But we'll see what happens with it. But right now, I will say it's not an invest. So hurricane models will not be running. Honestly, given the way it's been going, I would not be surprised if the system does become an invest either by tomorrow or the day after. Let's see here. It's me, Renita. You're welcome. Well, thank you, Renita. Appreciate it, my friend. That is greatly, greatly appreciated. Once again, just thank you for your support. Greatly appreciate it. Like I said, all of y'all, thank every single one of y'all for hanging out with us here. I mean, it's I love being here with y'all. I love helping you guys out and talking about the weather. You guys know y'all always have me. I'll always be here for you guys, and we'll keep you guys up to date. But special thanks to the people who directly support us. It's greatly appreciated. Helps keep us rolling. Helps pay for some of these programs we run here. So. Helps pays the bills too. So thank you once again, my friend Renita. You are awesome. Let's see here. Emmanuel says random, but we had 0.12 inches of rain in Indiana today. Gotcha. Not a whole lot, but good amount. We had a little bit of rain here yesterday. I don't think we had anything in today. Good to see you, Mark. Hopefully you're doing well. Saying late but here. Hey chat, what's up, man? Good to see you, Mark. Did you end up hitting the grill? Alright, so y'all, let's hop back to some of these models here. We're going to bring up this. So one thing I do want to look at with you guys here, we're going to look at some of these ensembles here. Let's go to the EPS here. And let's take a peek here. Ensemble members here. Here we go. So this is the EPS. So not, I want to go and warn you here. Each one of these little blobs you see is not a individual hurricane or a tropical cyclone. This is these are ensembles, meaning they have a bunch of members that run which is like miniature model runs essentially. But it kind of averages out things. So EPS you can kind of see here. Keeps the grouping pretty close here. I mean, this only goes up to 144 hours, which is within reasonable standpoint here. So you can see a lot of the ensembles here from the EPS are pretty close, pretty tight. So at this point in time, what we can tell you is that the system will be working its way westward. For another good, 2, maybe 3 days or so before maybe steering a little bit more northwestward. Kind of once we just approach, just east of the Antilles here. That's where the model ends here. Obviously we don't want to go any further than that. Regardless, we don't like to go any further than 180 hours out. I'll say it a lot. It's very true. I don't like to go any further than that. GEFS here. Let's look at the same thing here for the GEFS. So GEFS is just all over the place. Really just all over the place here. I mean, you can just really see how things really just spread out over time, Once again, this shows you literally a visual representation of why we should not look any further out than 180 hours out. So this is 180 hours out right here. So up until that point, things are reasonable. But once you go above 180 hours out, everything just goes off the walls. So now you can really see why. Good to see you, Paul. Hopefully you're doing I said that wrong. Let me try that again. Good to see you, Paul. Hopefully you're doing good, man. From across the pond. Good to see you, dude. What is it? It's got to be pretty late for you, man. What is it, like maybe 2, 3 a.m. for you, Al? Let's see. Emmanuel says not a lot, but in drought conditions. That is fair. You know what we can actually do for you guys? We'll go ahead and pull up our drought conditions here, actually. I do want to look at the drought monitor with y'all. That's something we actually have not pulled up here in a minute. So let's actually we're gonna use this program here. Yeah, let's look at the drought monitor here. See what we got going on. Turn off SAT here. I don't know how you disengage this. Let's see here. Okay, we'll just do that. Here's the drought monitor though. A lot of the Midwest is very dry, especially like southern Missouri. You can see we have quite a bit of a drought going on here. A bit of the Northeast as well, especially New Hampshire here. We got a extreme drought, a little bit going on there. West is still westing a bit. Relatively just dry, which is pretty typical. But yeah, I see what you mean. Indiana out there, we do have a bit of mostly abnormally dry. We do have some droughts going on there, but yeah, it seems really bad up there by like northern Arkansas, like northeast Arkansas, southern Missouri. So yeah, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that for the next couple of days. So but yeah, like I said, if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Let's see here. Carrot says, the way I think of it, yes, more hurricanes is bad. Let's see here. But less hurricanes keep the environment prime for any systems that do organize. That's pretty true. But you got to remember, too, I try to mention this quite often, there is multiple things that need to be right for a big storm to happen, right? So right now, the waters are very warm. They are ready to go. They are primed. They've been ready for a while now. Actually, we'll go and bring that up for you guys. Show you all the sea surface temperatures here. So, let's see. North Atlantic. Here we go. So there you go. There's the waters. This is in Celsius, by the way. You can see some of the hottest waters right now is out in the Western Caribbean and the Gulf. Right in here. Very, very, very warm. So, but like I said, all these other conditions have got to be right. We got to have moisture in the atmosphere. If we have all this heat here, that's one of the boxes checked. But there's really 3 major boxes. The next thing is moisture. In terms of in the atmosphere. If there's a lot of moisture, that's good. That could get some storms going. But If there's no moisture, convection's going to die out. Storms are going to fizzle. And then, of course, wind shear as well. If you have such strong winds, like a jet stream or something aimed right at the system, or just really, really strong wind shear, that can allow for the system to kind of rip apart, kind of shred apart itself, which, not only could weaken a storm that rolls into the environment, but could also prevent storms from happening in the environment. It's everything's got to be aligned for it to really go down. We've been lucky so far this year, but once again, still want to remember or remind you guys is that we still got a while to go. I mean, we still have the rest of this month. October's pretty active too in the tropics, but November is when it really starts calming down again. So, but yeah, I really do think that the rest of this month here, we're already getting a lot of signals of quite a bit of activity popping through. Of course, we have the first system here, as you can kind of see from the GFS model, and then maybe even some more waves to follow. Euro also kind of agreed on it as well. You can see, there's the first system here, and then maybe even another, wave of thunderstorms rolling off of Africa. We'll have to definitely see. Let's see here. Binksy, what? Alright, man. But anyways, so yeah, that's Euro. CMC, I'm pretty sure, is on board too. Yeah. Yeah, CMC does show, maybe a couple waves kind of rolling off here, but, we don't want to go too far down in time, Once again, things get a little hairy the further you go out. Anything above 180 hours, it's just a little bit too iffy. Binksy, I worry about you. But I love you guys regardless, Every single one of you guys, we love y'all. Just wanted to make you laugh. You did that. You also made my brain go, what? Omar says, will the Caribbean and Gulf cool more? Eventually, yes. Yeah. But, still very, very warm right now. What does the wind shear look like in the Caribbean? Well, let's look. So, models. Let's look at the wind shear here. So, kind of where we are now, it looks like, oh, yeah, pretty high, actually, from what it looks like. So, this is 200 to 850 millibar wind shear. And you can see we do have quite a jet here going on. So we got a bit of a trough up here, dipping down pretty far in the Gulf. Yeah, actually pulling in some pretty strong wind shear on the western side for sure. Also for east coastal U.S. as well. Yeah, it looks like wind shear is going to be very high in the Gulf for the next several days. Yeah. We'll keep it on it. Oh, Jason. Appreciate it, my friend. What's up, Jill? Good to see ya. Hopefully you're doing well. Saying, hi, Andrew from Michigan. Hello, Jill from Florida. Good to see ya. But if you guys are just tuning in here, y'all, like I said, we got a disturbance we're watching here. It's not an invest yet, but, once again, if the way things continue to go, I would not be surprised if, like, tomorrow or day after we have an invest here. So we'll definitely need to look out there for that. Let's see. What does the wind shear look like in the Caribbean? Oh, you said Caribbean. I thought you said Gulf. Whoops, my bad. I don't know why I thought you said Gulf. Caribbean. Yeah, you can actually see. So this is kind of where we're at now. We have a little bit of wind shear from what it looks like over the Caribbean right now. Doesn't look like wind shear is going to be that much of a huge concern for the system. I mean, we could run into some moments, maybe a little bit of wind shear, but mostly what's really stopping the storm from really exploding is moisture. Yeah, moisture is the main limiting factor here. So yeah, here's GFS. So this is 150 hours out. This is for the 19th, which, kind of pushing time here. So, there's the system right here. So you can see on the west, there is a lot of brown and tan. So once again, that represents the atmosphere being dry. And then, of course, you got the greenish blue, which is the opposite, showing, moisture, a lot of water vapor throughout the atmosphere. Now, this is between 700 and 300 HPA, which is, equivalent to millibars. It's literally a 1-to-1 conversion. But this is just based off of altitude, which I did this before. I think 700 millibars here. Let me find out how high that is. I'm pretty sure it's within the range of like 20,000 feet or something like that. 700 HPA height. So, geopotential height. So that is about 10,000 feet. It's a little bit lower than I thought it was. So 700 millibars is 10,000 feet to 300 millibars, which 300 millibars is about 30 to 33,000 feet. So this is looking at the amount of moisture between 10 to basically 30,000 feet, between 10 to 30,000 feet. So, kind of the middle chunk of the atmosphere, which, that's where a lot of stuff goes on. Deep convection and stuff like that. You need a lot of moisture in those levels. But yeah, I mean, it really does seem like moisture is going to be a bit of an issue. If we take a little sounding here, you can see that we have a lot of saturation going on here in this QT chart here. Our green is our dew point, our red's our temperature. There's a lot of touching going on here, so a lot of green and red, collisions here, which is showing humidity some places at 100%. So there is some condensing going on in some of these areas here, which is the prime environment for thunderstorms. Then off to the west here, you can see there's a big spacing between our dew point here in the green and our temperature in the red. So that's that dry air that you see here. This is what's going to really kind of slow any big development down. But GFS eventually has it kind of getting a hold of it. Getting a hold of the moisture, which, maybe later on in the extended range of the storm here, we could see a lot more activity out of it, but it should be a slow start. Absolutely. Your brain went arrow 404. Yeah. You're not the only one. Jill says hi. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, no problem, Jill. It's just good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, let's hop back over here to, let's do GEPS here. I don't know if we have some Ensemble members. Ensemble members. Yeah, I mean, it's really up to the point that we get, 150 hours, 180 hours out, that things really start to kind of go all over the place here. That's a very bad circle, so my bad for that. But yeah, this is within reasonable. You know what I just noticed? This is literally kind of what the Hurricane Center's outlook looks like. It really is. I mean, yeah, because that's just the area, in which reasonable time frame of things to happen. Anything beyond that point is just too early to tell. But anyways, folks, well, if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. You guys know we're here for you. We'll make sure you guys are staying, up to date and stuff like that. So we'll definitely keep you guys informed with everything going on. And, of course, any new information that we get, we'll let you guys know, too. We'll definitely keep you guys updated over the next few days, or next several days. See, the Bermuda High is really goat. I mean, here, let's hop back GFS real quickly. Get rid of this very bad cone. Not even a cone, it's just where I circled. Yeah, I mean, kind of where we're at right now, the Bermuda High is more of a Cabo Verde high. Bermuda well over here. But yeah, this is really pushed eastward. I don't know, man. So GFS kind of has the high retreating back towards the Central Atlantic. But it does show some lows kind of developing off the U.S. East Coast here, which could lower the pressure, could definitely change its direction. Kind of conflicts. But yeah, anything past 180, this is 180 hours out. Anything beyond this point is just la la land. But you also got to remember here, while the latest GFS model does suggest kind of like tropical cyclone activity going on here at this hour, previous model run before that, ready? Boom. The previous model before it shows it like not even a circulated low, more just like a I don't know, just kind of like a remnant low, or not really a remnant low, but just kind of a very disorganized low. Let's see. What's up, Hamilton? Good to see you, man. But yeah, so that's that. I mean, we'll definitely keep you guys up to date with everything. Once again, we'll also have to watch for even more waves to come off. I mean, there's been multiple models that's been suggesting that we're kind of heading into an active period. More waves essentially. More waves equals more potential. More waves we get, the more shots we have. But but yeah, a lot of the models do pick up on that. So there's CMC as well. CMC has the system picking up, and maybe a few other. Don't want to go too far down in time, but are you late for the party? Just a little bit. We've been live about an hour. Just a little bit here. I don't know what time the Hurricane Center updates here. Let's see. When was the last update? Okay, so last update we had from the Hurricane Center, this was at 7:39 p.m. Yeah, so we're not going to have our next update until like 2 a.m. We are absolutely going to be off by then. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow we do have that high chance of development come through. I mean, because we've been slowly creeping up, man. And then once again, everybody, for the people just joining, so this is from the Hurricane Center's page, you guys can see. Here's the Cabo Verde Islands. We are now just southwest of the Cabo Verde. Gradual westerly to northwesterly movement, over the next several days. And for the people who are new to this, so the X shows where that storm is now, or where those group of storms are now. And then this circle here, this shows us where the system could develop in. Okay, so within these waters is where we are expecting, if it does develop, where it would develop, if that makes sense. So if you look at it, the bottom there, formation chance for the next 48 hours, low, near 0%. So that just tells us that next 2 days we're not expecting anything. But then if you look below that, it says formation chance for the next 7 days, medium, 60%. So, we're already at a 60% chance overall formation. Last update we did with you guys earlier today, that was at a 50. So we've obviously picked up a little bit of probability here, and that's, before then it's just been trending up and up and up. Once that gets knocked to 70%, that'll put it from medium to high. So the way it works is that low is from 0 to 30%, medium is from 40 to 60, and then high is 70 to 100. In which we're at 60, so we're kind of high medium right now. But yeah, it'll we'll see what happens. But yeah, they'll probably continue it. I mean, there is a lot of guidance on it. It's just what happens out of it is just kind of unknown. A little early. I mean, yeah, once again, the ensembles and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of support there, Here's the GEFS, ECENS here. I mean, multiple members. The GDM, the GDM FNV3 actually has this thing pretty good to go. I don't know why it doesn't have it further probably that's when it starts to develop into a possible depression or storm. But yeah, the model we're looking at here, the GDM FNV3, kind of shows a lot of those members. You can see a lot of green tails here. So that puts us between maybe between 40 to 50 knots. So that would be kind of mid-level tropical storm, which a lot of the members do suggest. I see a little bit of oranges and yellows in there, but not many. I do see a lot of blue, 30 to 40 knots. So mostly between 30 to 50 knots of kind of what a lot of these members suggest here. Then we got the GENC. I see a lot of blue, mostly 30 to 40 knots, so kind of weak tropical storm here, according to a lot of the ensembles here. Then ECENS, it's just a little bit of everything. I mean, you can see ECENS. I mean, there's literally like every color in there. You know, you got some members that are a lot more aggressive than others. You know, you got some that are not really much of a storm, and then you got others, it's like, holy cow. But, yeah, it's just, once again, the system here is going to be running in the dry air. You know, at least to start, which is going to really kind of just prevent things from really kicking off here. You guys can really see there. So once again, this is our moisture, you know, throughout the atmosphere between 10 and 30,000 feet. So the brown, once again, the brownish tan, dry air, the greenish blue, moisture-filled air. So that low, you can see here, you know, the circles. This is where that system is. So the bluish green kind of shows the eastern side of the system, relatively saturated, you know, a lot of moisture. The western side, not so much. Looks like we do have some pretty dry, kind of mid-level, upper-level conditions, in which you can actually see that dry air is directly being injected into the storm here. This is right around September 18th here, so this is like, well, today's pretty much the 14th, so this is pretty much like 4 days out. So, you know, that's really going to be the main thing that will really limit the system from really kicking off here, you know, at least to start. You know, we do got some models that suggest it eventually kind of getting a hold of itself, like the GFS here. But could just be a run, because previous run before that, a lot different. So this is 180 hours out. You can see just how much different they are, you know. Huge difference. Huge difference. You know, it could look totally different tomorrow for all we know, which it will. It will most likely. Anyways, folks. Well, if you guys have any questions, once again, y'all know I'm here for you. Karen says, so going on a cruise to the Bahamas isn't a good idea. When are you going on your cruise? As of right now, you're good. It just depends when. Obviously, we know where. You said Bahamas. So, but yeah, right now there's no danger for the Bahamas. So I would continue as planned. But it just depends on when you want to go. But yeah, I mean, you know, like I mentioned before, guys, let's see here, next week. So that's kind of the thing that we need to look into. That is a subject to change. Karen, I would go ahead and just continue on with your plans, but I will let you know if things change, okay? Because, like I said, there's just not enough information yet for us to know if there is going to be impacts or not. You know, I can't say no, I can't say yes. But what I would do, I would just continue on with your plans. But just know that, you know, we'll keep an eye on the storm here. And if it does become a concern, I'll definitely let you know. But, you know, also, the thing is that, you know, cruise lines, they know to go around storms. You know, so I wouldn't worry about it. I would just continue to do your own little thing. anyways, let's see here. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, no problem. I got you. I got you guys. No problem. Y'all know we're here for you. But yeah, we're probably gonna roll off here soon, y'all. We've been live a little bit over an hour here. Just wanted to hop on for a little bit, do a little bit of an update here with y'all's. So we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop with everything here. You know, once we learn more about the system, we'll definitely walk you guys through it and all that stuff. Okay. But just thank you everybody for joining. If you once again going once, going twice. If you all have any questions, let me know. And once again, a huge shout out goes to Renita today for the donation, my friend. Thank you so much for the support. Greatly appreciated. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for supporting us and just helping contribute to us to help keep us on our feet and everything like that. It's greatly appreciated. You guys are awesome. Greatly appreciated. And of course, for the people who don't as well, that is totally okay. I'm still very, very thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for everybody for being here and just hanging out with us and just staying up to date with the weather. But anyways, folks, well, that's probably going to wrap it up for now. But yeah, like I said, just overall right now, 60% chance of overall formation in the next 7 days. Probability for the next 48 hours, 0% chance. So we're not really expecting much out of the system within the next 2 days because, once again, it's just going to roll into a bit of dry air. It might struggle with dry air there for a little bit. We'll see what the future holds, but, it's still too far beyond current technology to look any further. Sonia says, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, no problem. You're very welcome, Sonia. Good to see you tonight. Good to see everybody here. Carrot says, you're doing amazing work, bro. Keep it up. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Carrot. Very, very nice of you, my friend. So thank you. But, all right, everybody. Well, you all take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your nights. Get some good rest. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Like I said, we'll probably do what we did today. We did 2 live streams today. We'll do one, again, probably sometime tomorrow, early afternoon, and then we'll do another one here tomorrow evening. So, like I mentioned, the way we're going to start doing things around here, at least what I want to do, is weekends. So like Friday nights, Saturday nights, we stream at 10 o'clock. Because I know a lot of people like to stay up a little bit later, Friday nights and Saturday nights. And then, of course, Sunday nights, Monday nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Thursday. Or hold on, let me try that again. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, we're going to go live at 8 o'clock p.m. So just a little bit early because people got work and school the next day and stuff like that. So, anyways. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. Once again, huge shout out goes to Renita. Once again, for the 5. I really appreciate that, my friend. Definitely helps out a ton. But, all right, everybody. Thank you all for joining. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Once again, sometime in the afternoon. So I hope to see you guys then. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. Catch y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.